I'm Debbie, and I'll be your guide for month 9 of London Blues Block of the Month. Now this month we are going to be doing our Center Medallion, which starts here, goes over here, goes down here, and then back over. You will be getting a large chunk of fabric to do this. Don't get excited. It's not more, but it is exactly what you will need for this. Now, if you look at this, it looks, wow, that's a lot going on there. But we're going to take it one step at a time. And by doing so, it makes it super easy to put together. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the very center block of our medallion. To do this, we will be using our half square triangles, our flying geese, and then we'll also be doing some flip and sew blocks. With this part, we will be using fabric 5, fabric 9, and fabric 11. To start with, we're going to take fabric 11, your square of fabric 11, and a square of fabric 5, put them together for our half square triangles. As you remember, we're going to take and draw a line down the center, and then we're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side. Once we do that, we're going to cut on our drawn line. Okay, and then we're going to square them up. I like at this point still pressing to the dark, and I do use finger pressing techniques. And I'm going to do one way, one another way. It's here. And of course, I'm going to use my dotted line to put over your center. And what I want to make sure is I have plenty of room all the way around, but I want that dotted line in the center. I'm going to take, cut, and cut. And then turn. And you see this nice little dotted line has a little square. I'm going to make sure that that is lined up where I just cut. Therefore, we have a perfect half square triangle. Your half square triangles, you will be making 4 of these, 2 sets, and they will then go into the corners of your block. The next thing we want to do is our flying geese units. We are again taking fabric 9 as our small squares, fabric 11 as our large square. We will be taking and laying our squares on top, 2 squares on top of a large square of 11. Then we're going to take a ruler and we're going to draw a line, sew 1/4 inch on either side. Then we're going to take and cut, separate, and then we're going to press these out. And you kind of have kind of a wonky heart shape when you're finished. Okay, word to the wise, when you're numbering things, please put a line underneath 9 or you'll get it for 6 every time. We do need another number 9 square. Once we take and press our little half triangles up, then we're going to take another number 9 and we're going to lay it down. And we're going to draw a line from corner to corner. And then we're going to take and we're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side. And then we're going to cut it apart so that now you're going to have 4 flying geese. Now your flying geese at this point still have to be trimmed to size. And I'm going to use the wing clipper. And wing clippers paper is really nice because you have a little place where you can put your point. And then you can trim it to size. And let me catch this little looper. And then you turn it around and square up the rest of it. This way you get a perfect 1/4 inch. And I'm going to set it down just a bit. And then trim it, and you will have a perfect, I need to put my tape back on this. A perfect flying goose. You will make 4 of these, and then they will sit right along the side. Your center is just one of the fabric 5s that you have cut. Also, with this, we have flip and sew that we will make in this part and save for later. If you remember our flip and sew, we take one of our squares and then we put a square, draw from corner to corner, and that is our sew line. And then we trim and cut. And you will make 4 of those to use later. For part 2 of our block 9. And what we're going to be using, the fabrics are fabric 1, fabric 2, fabric 8, and fabric 10. The technique we're going to be doing is flying geese, just like we covered in the part before. We are going to be using fabrics 2 and 8. And we're going to be making 4 sets of these. We're going to be using fabrics 1 and 10. And we're going to be making 2 sets of these. Okay. Once you have your flying geese made, we are going to take and make 8 sets using 1 and 10 and 2 and 8. We're going to sew them together like this. And the ones that are remaining, which should be 8 of fabric of this one, we're going to save for later. Okay, for part 3, we're going to be using fabric 7. And this is fabric 11, even though I do not have it labeled. Okay, and we're going to do a flip and sew technique for this. You're going to take fabric 7 and a smaller square of your fabric 11, and you're going to put them right sides together, and we're going to draw a line from corner to corner, and this is going to be our sewing line. Once you've sewn them, then I like to take and trim a 1/4 inch to get the bulk away. And so you will have a flip and sew like this. Okay, in our next part, we're going to start by making half square triangles. The fabrics that we will be using for the rest of our endeavors is 1, 6, 10, and our unnamed 11. We are going to be making half square triangles out of fabric 11 and fabric 10. Of course, we will be having squares, drawing from corner to corner, sewing a half 1/4 inch on either side, then slicing in the center. We're going to do the same thing using fabric 1 and fabric 10. Okay. Once we do this, I am going to finger press these to fabric 10 for both of them. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to nest them, but fabric 10 will be on opposite sides. So in doing so, they will nest very well. Okay. You take, and I usually start and I finger nest them with the fingers. and you will feel in the center when they're together. And I go from end to end to make sure that they are all nested. When I'm satisfied, then I'm going to take and draw a line from corner to corner. And this one's going to be a little cockeyed, but you're going to cut them down. We're doing the quarter square block. And so you have enough fabric that if it's off a little on one side, you're going to be able to trim it and it'll trim fine. So we're going to draw a line corner to corner. We're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side. Once we do that, then we're going to split. Here we go. We're going to cut down the middle, and then we're going to open it up. Now remember, the little trick for laying it flat is to take thumb on one side, thumb on the other, and give it a twist. And it opens it up into a little four-patch. This allows you to not have the bulk in the center. And the bulk can throw you off when you're trying to cut it down. You'll have that little weeble wobble and then you'll get off kilter. So I'm going to take my Tucker trimmer and I'm going to find the line I need, and I'm going to put that down on the sewn line that I have. Now, as you see, I have a line going up and down, which I can put on my other seam in order to make my block a lot straighter. So not only am I trimming it down, but I'm also trimming it so that it's going to be a perfect 1/4 square block when I finish. And again, this ruler has a very nice little dotted line that I can snug up against the part that I just cut. And this makes it really nice. There we go. Perfect 1/4 inch block. Now we're going to take the hourglass block, or the 1/4 squares that we did, and we're going to take the flying geese that we made in part 2, and we're going to sew them on either side. Now we take the unit that we made, and we're going to add 2 squares to either side. Once we add 2 squares to either side, then we're going to take our flying geese units that we made previously, and we're going to sew them on either end of our units. Then we're going to take these units again, and we are going to sew them on the remainder of these units. Okay, and now we have everything ready for our center medallion. It's best to go ahead and lay out the pieces. Of course, all these pieces will be sewn. Here is your center block that you made in part 1. Then you have 2 of these that you have sewn. And I would go ahead and sew them on, both of these onto your center medallion. That way you can then sew these together in rows. This is your top row that you would sew to this, then sew this one to this one to this one, and this one to this one. I hope you enjoyed putting together block 9. We'll see you next month for block 10.